Hi guys, this is MJ of Typify, and in today's video we have a very special guest, which is Matt of Geek Psychology. He's here.
Hey.
So
Ah,
he will introduce himself after me.
yeah, I'm Matt Sherman from Geek Psychology YouTube channel. Um, Excited to be here talking to another INFP about INFP stuffs, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you in your personal growth journey as well.
Yeah. I'm excited to really do this call because I rarely do meet INFP men and someone who's actually out there doing video, doing content. So for this session, we're going to be talking about the journey to become a happier INFP. Yes, guys,
Mm.
it's possible. And you can see it from our very happy face, happy, awkward faces. um, so yeah, but before anything else, I want to know first how you got into type theory or typology in general.
I've always tried to figure out who I was. I think that's just been something that I've always done. But I'm sure I took a MBTI test back in like high school or something like that, and I got INFP, but it didn't really mean anything at the time. And through some life circumstances, I ended up going to Japan in 2003 and was still like trying to figure out who I was. And it was an attempt to like push me outside of my boundaries
Mhm.
and see what I could do in the world, outside of my mom's basement. I love my mom, but that's where I was, and she would just care for me all the time. So I was like, anyway, I'm going to go out there and see what I can do. And lots of ups and downs, trying to figure out who I was. What am I doing here? Who are these other human beings that I'm trying to understand? Because everybody, didn't quite make sense. And so I started actually making my own personality typing system before I learned about Myers-Briggs and stuff. Like this person's kind of like a warrior, and we got like a death knight and a warlock and shamans and stuff. Because I played a lot of games, that's just where my mind went, in terms of pattern connections and stuff. And I started developing it quite a bit, and I was like starting to write a book about it, and I shared it on Reddit, and somebody told me to check out Myers-Briggs and specifically cognitive functions, because there were a lot of overlaps in what I was doing and what that is. And so I got into personality type from then. Personality Hacker was kind of my main source, and they're who I have actually certification from right now. And yeah, that was the start of the journey into actually following like a codified system of self-understanding, and it's greatly impacted my life and the life of many other people.
So that's actually interesting. This is the first time I've met anyone who s- tried to come up with their own type system inspired by gaming. What kind of game was it that maybe helped you come up with different patterns?
Yeah, well, a lot of like role-playing games, and specifically I was really into World of Warcraft at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was just like I knew that there were these kind of like templates and like patterns of different character classes and people and stuff like that. And through like my mission of pushing my boundaries and going out all the time, like I would force myself to leave my house because I knew that my comfort zone was not the place where I would become the hero of my life and go out there and stuff, right? So I was just constantly trying to understand people more and figure it all out. And yeah, as I said, character classes and role-playing games were what I understood. And so I just kind of used that as like an overlay to understand people. And like, there's really, you know, aggressive kind of like, I'm gonna just run in there and just talk to a bunch of people and see what happens. And I don't really care. I'm gonna shake things up. And that was my ENFP friend, right? And I was calling him a warrior, but now I have a different way of uh, labeling him, which is,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, that's super cool. So what then prompted you to like start a channel and talk about this even further? Because that's another step to talking about or doing what you love, you know. Did
Yeah.
it begin with like wanting to monetize, or is it really purely from something else?
Um, well, because I spent so much time just trying to figure out these patterns and stuff like that. And then when I started to kind of understand it from Personality Hacker and you know, just reading and reading and reading about cognitive functions and stuff, I started just making these connections and kind of ripening my system of understanding in my way that helped me understand it, right? Because cognitive functions was like, what is all this stuff? What's going on? What's a tertiary function? Like it was confusing at the time. And I found a way that helped me understand it. And I had a new understanding of who I was at like an identity level and my beliefs and everything like that. So I was like, well, I might as well just put it on a blog or something. So I made a blog and started posting, and somebody found it. Several people found it and commented like, this is really helpful. Thank you. And because of that little message, I was like, well, if it helped me, help somebody else, then like I need to scale up more.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, I guess I'll do it on YouTube and see what happens there. And that was also another way of just getting me out of my comfort zone, right? Making videos and stuff is quite awkward. There's quite a learning curve to it. And there's a lot of like putting yourself out there and social expectations and all these other things, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, it was just, I need to just scale up more and more because I knew that it could help somebody else too.
It's really good. And you did talk about going outside of your comfort zone. So I think learning about being an INFP and coming up with a YouTube channel, you know, scaling up as you said. But what made you decide or lean towards the journey to becoming a happy INFP? And I think before we recorded this and you know when we met a few
Mhm,
days ago, we talked about how I think we have a similar advocacy of some sort where
mhm.
I think with the stereotypes that surround being your type, being an INFP, what opened the way to you having that sort of message now that you carry? Um, Also similar to what I also want to push towards INFPs as well.
Sure. Well, I know like just self-understanding and like figuring out who I was, accepting who I was, and these different parts of myself was a massive step into appreciating more of other people and relationships and what's out there in the world,
Mhm.
instead of feeling like, well, everything's affecting me and I have no way of changing or making an impact. It actually kind of control over my life and who I was and who I wanted to become. And so that was kind of always the underlying theme.
Mhm.
Um, and through just making a lot of videos, like 2 videos a week for like 5 years or something, I have like 600 videos. And you know, not all of them are gems, but that's okay. You know, it was more of like, I'm going to consistently do this. And through doing that, like actually one video was is I think my most popular video, and it's like how to I don't even know the name of it. It's like how to regain control of your life or something like that. It's an INFP focused video. I know the thumbnail of it's like a triangle and kind of pointing to it.
Mhm.
And I think I was like, I'm never gonna make a video like this. For some reason, it was just like it felt like I didn't want to do this type of video. It felt maybe it was too pointed at something. I'm not really sure. But I was on one of these sprints of like 30 days, one video every day type thing,
Mhm.
that I've done a couple times. And I was like, I don't know what to make. So I started planning that one and made that video, and it took off. And like people were like, this is really helpful. And so I got a lot more INFPs into the channel, which is great. And So I was like, I need to help more of my fellow INFPs because I know that the world needs us to have like a better self-understanding, a better way of impacting the world in a positive way, if that's what we want to do. And I know not everybody wants to do that, and that's fine. I got nothing against being in a cabin in the woods, drinking tea and reading books. I think that's a great dream too. But anyway, so I polled the subscribers and was like, what are the top problems that you're having, INFPs? Okay, thank you. And I turned that into the inowfeelpositive.com project, and that INFP masterclass that teaches how to do all those things that were struggles for INFPs. So long-winded, but that's that's where it came from.
No, I'm really happy because again, when I saw the your project, it's something that resonated with me. I don't have a project like that, but it's just a whole line of thinking that I have of using type theory to serve you instead of be mastered by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Which is a lot of people often fall into the trap in. They just stick with what they know and what they see online, and then if they don't identify with it, then they cherry pick what they want. But essentially, like, do you identify with the stereotypes of being an INFP, like even back then, you know what I mean, like with the sad emo whatever, like did you have that journey? Like I did go through that as well, like for the longest time I was like that. But did you know about the stereotypes and identified with it even before you had this project?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, I had a lot of emotional issues and stuff like that. I've mentioned a bunch of times in my videos, like of just running out of music class crying because a certain song in middle school just kind of like, hit that right spot or something like that, or storming out of science class saying I'm having a bad life, and just breaking down crying like throughout school. And it kind of had its peaks and troughs and stuff like that through my exploration in Japan too. Calling in to not go to work because I'm just not feeling good. Not because I'm sick, but just I was not feeling in the way that I wanted to be. Yeah, and so I've been through all those journeys. And I know that before I understood personality type, I had this like calling from the explorer character, extroverted intuition, that was saying, you need to go far away to this other strange place that you know nothing about. Japan. I didn't know the language. I didn't care for the culture or anything like that. It was just randomly chose a place. And but I knew that I needed to get out of Michigan and seek whatever I could become. And when I learned personality type, it really kind of clicked, like, oh yeah, that makes sense why leaning into extroverted intuition, the auxiliary function, is extremely important.
I like how you compared it to you're an explorer. I think that's one of your ways of describing it in your own
Yeah.
type system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think it's similar with me as well. Um, a lot of like I was so comfortable with how I was then that
Yeah.
for whatever reason maybe it really pushes us to grow out of it. I don't know what happened, you know. I really don't know. But I've learned type for a long time, but it didn't really have the same impact as it did just recently compared to how it was like years ago. It was enough for me to know that I was an INFP growing up, but now just learning how it can really change your life also in a way, your perspective and your overall well-being and happiness. And I think the idea of like knowing what happy feels like is such a great discovery for me that it made me not want to revisit or relive the moments where I wasn't happy. I was just like listening to Bon Iver and like crying and and like, oh, I'm not magnificent, I suck, blah 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 blah. But it's really nice that you did tap into it and have been forging your own path, coming from
Mm,
knowing, from knowledge. Um, and I think leaning in towards my next question is, with our attempts to become better people, better INFPs, it did result to now people thinking sometimes that we're mistyped.
mhm,
I've gotten some remarks from different people throughout my type, journey, being online,
yeah.
where I get people say that, oh, you must be an INFJ, ENFP, ENTP, and the most scandalous of all is ESFJ. Just recently,
Scandalous.
yeah, you're like, how? And they were really insisting that I'm like, oh, I've been following you for a while. You're an ESFJ, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but can you walk me through like how we talked about this a little bit, but you people also do think sometimes that you're mistyped, being a public figure, of course, being on YouTube.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm typed as an ISTP by another system. And many people have mentioned that to me. Like, hey, did you know that you're an ISTP just like me? Like, I did not know that. Thank you for telling me. I think everybody's going to have their opinions, and that's always it's always a difficult realm
Mm-hmm.
to deal with. Like, people ask me all the time to do like celebrity typing videos and stuff like that. And I could, but also like I feel like I would want to really just talk to that person one on one
Mm-hmm.
and really get to understand the underlying behavior for why they're doing the things that they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the emergent behavior, we can all do the same stuff, right? But there's reasons for those happening that I think the cognitive functions really like pinpoint, right? And so it's just yeah, I don't know. People see what they want to see, and people also see what we are doing, kind of like performing on camera and stuff like that. Like if I were talking, if you watch like some of my original videos, please don't watch them, but if you were to do that, I talk so slow, and I'm always like it's just ridiculously slow. And that's, I understand that. I know a lot of INFPs talk like that too. Um, but through making a lot of videos, I've learned that I need to speak a little bit faster. Need to be a little bit more animated.
Yeah.
Sometimes like expressively smile and stuff like that. And it's just tugging on different aspects, highlighting different parts of myself. It doesn't make it disingenuous, I don't feel. I used to feel like that, right? Like, but yeah, there's a performance aspect of it, and also like it's more attractive and more appealing for other people when they're watching the videos, right? And that's more important to me, is to make some content that is impactful and helpful to other people. And if it's so just slow and completely what I want to do, with no care about what everybody else wants to do, and the direction and the logical formatting of it and stuff like that, then people won't watch it. And then it doesn't matter if I make it, because it's not impacting anybody else. And that's my mission right now. That's my quest. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it makes sense because I think that's virtually how we empathize with the audience. You know, when I started my first set of videos, a lot of the people who know me best in person, they were happy about how I was really prepared and I had a script and all of that. It felt too scripted. Like my first video was like, how do you know if an INFP likes you? And I was like so bubbly. And then like I have a line that I follow and all of that. And I think the reason why we perform, and I believe a lot of INFPs are great actors now that I'm seeing myself act in as a content creator is if we forget who we're doing this for, apart from of course we have a mission and all of that, we will fail to fulfill what needs to be done, which is aligned to our mission, to our core. If I had just if I just speak the way that I usually do, which is very, it changes. NE. Like, but sometimes I'm animated, but very often I'm just deadpan and serious and just like low. But when we talk, like right now, you're speaking with someone and I become activated. But after this, I go back to my okay, I'm tired, and you're back to just not being like this. But yeah, I think that's exactly how empathy comes in, and the way INFPs present themselves in a platform such as this. Because we don't perform if we don't act, which I don't think is also disingenuous, because I feel like this is just another aspect of who we are as a creator, as a creative. And I think it just makes sense. And that's why people, it's hard to type people just based off of what we show them online. Whether it's on a static post or in an actual video. Because sometimes I've made few friends online in my Instagram, um, where they were trying to type me just based off of my Instagram, because they said it was so colorful and I seemed to post a lot of memes, which they very closely associate with other types, more extroverted types, than an INFP, because they were expecting us to look like grim, dark, whatever, those things. I feel like it's very interesting, because when you look at INFP artists or creators, we do very often have a lighter, brighter persona than what's inside of us. Like, how Hayao Miyazaki is like creating very colorful animations, and he's actually a very sad person. Very sad or nostalgic, sentimental person. Opposed to the kind of movies he make.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the paradox about being an INFP. What we show and what's in there are very different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like how you did mention about you coming into understanding that, okay, I talk too slow. I should talk faster, because I don't think people will follow if I talk really slow. And your practice over time, and your and that having that decision to become a better person, better developed INFP, with all using all of your functions as much as you can, integrating them, can easily make us seem like another type. But people don't know that. And I think that's the part where I'm learning how to let go of, like, you know what, you type me however you want.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That's usually how it ends up for me. It's just like, I'll let you believe that that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna fight it or anything like that. Like, every once in a while it does catch me. I'm like, nah, maybe I should kind of defend myself or my identity or whatever, but it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't really matter. People are gonna have their opinions anyway. So
yeah, true. Okay, so thank you for watching the first part of our video, and stay tuned, because like we're gonna be talking about 3 more important questions about INFPs, which is about our strengths and weaknesses, what motivates us, and what maybe should motivate you to as an INFP, and how we deal with stress and conflict as INFPs. Because he's a 9 and I'm a 6, so I think that's something that we can explore together. So again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you do like and subscribe his channel. Go to Geek Psychology, follow Matt and all of his socials. I'll put them in my descriptions down below. And again, if you haven't already, also subscribe to my channel. And if you want to learn more how to become a happier INFP, also visit his website.
I now feel positive.com. INFP. I now feel positive.com.
And I do in-depth type assessments. You'll see the clip later after this video. So if you want to get typed by me and want to learn more about your type, visit my website at typeify.me. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.
Follow me on my socials at MBTI Time on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you're not sure if you're an INFP, INFJ, ENFP, INTJ, or any other type, book a typing session with me by visiting www.mbtitime.com. Links in the descriptions down below.